Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 30th of May for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the standout issues and strands to look out for. Please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the 12 zodiac sign forecasts. Now this week of course begins with a new moon in Gemini. Now, Gemini energy is all about how we think. It's very nimble and agile, can be very amusing, very much to do with sharing ideas and interacting in a bright and bubbly way. But of course, the moon is very much how we feel about things, and the sign of Gemini is very much more about how we assess things from a more logical viewpoint. So one of the things that we can do over the next month is to meld our drive and our ideas much more closely to how we actually feel. So it's an opportunity for sure. Now, this is also a week when Mars and Jupiter continue to be very closely together. The exact conjunction actually happened as last week came to a close. So that combination can give us a lot of thrust, a lot of traction, a lot of enthusiasm in the sign of Aries. That's very much about getting things off the ground. But both the position of Mars and Jupiter are forging a relatively positive angle to Venus, which of course has now returned to the sign of Taurus, which it governs. So that thrust and the ideas energy that the new moon has given us in Gemini can certainly see us working towards making the most of our resources, which Venus in Taurus can be very good at grappling with. It can also give us an appreciation of good food and good wine and more sensual pleasures as well. But then on Friday, Mercury ends its retrograde, also in the sign of Taurus. So, we've all been challenged by this new financial reality which is kicking in, and it has been retrograde since the 10th of May and in the sign of Taurus since the 23rd of May. But then on Saturday, Mercury comes out of shadow, but also Saturn goes into a retrograde in the sign of the people, the collective, the sign of Aquarius. So it's possible through to the 23rd of October that we're going to be more mindful, I think, over a period of time of how connected we are to one another. I'm going to do a special on the fact that Saturn and Uranus are going to go through a square again within 3 degrees from the 11th of August. So please look out for that. But the other thing to tell you is that Mercury, despite that retrograde, is actually in a very subtle but powerful link to Neptune. So one of the things that we can do this week is listen to our hunches, because they can serve us very well indeed. So Libra, your week commencing the 30th of May forecast sees the new moon in your sector of adventure, of expansion, of independence, of travel, of higher education. So the trick is blending your desire, the sun, with your emotional needs, the moon. The moon in the 9th house is also very concerned with the truth of situations. So that energy provides some real dazzle and uplift as you enter into this week. Now, of course, with that vibrant combination between Mars and Jupiter in your sector of relating, maybe by being more daring, the energy of the new moon, and the combination of Mars and Jupiter, which is very thrusting in your opposite sign, being a little bit more devil may care could bring some exciting possibilities your way. So this is a time I feel to be really spontaneous where you possibly can. Mercury's retrograde has been in your sector of longer term finance, but also where you're most invested. If something really has been going at the speed of a snail, and it could be around some kind of contract, a business deal, that started off looking positive when Mercury was in Gemini, if that has been going at a frustratingly slow pace, at least I feel that Neptune this week, in the part of your horoscope to do with your health, your physical reality, the organisation of your world, perhaps you will get some new insights, but then once it goes forwards, I think something can soon start to move much more positively forwards for you, because your ruling planet Venus this week is in a very positive semi-sextile to both Mars and Jupiter. And Venus can be about money, as well as, of course, being about relationships. And Venus, like Mercury retrograde, the North Node and Uranus, is in your 8th house, in the other home zone that it governs. So quite a smouldering sensual potential there for some lucky scales. But then later this week, Saturn, of course, slams on the brakes, and it's going to be going retrograde through to the 23rd of October. So in your 5th house, the 5th house is very much where we want to be free, demonstrative, affectionate. It can be the sector of romance, but also of creativity and flair. And that old maxim, the harder we work, the luckier we get, is one that you should bear in mind, because Saturn's dark reputation isn't always completely fair, because sometimes we need the structure, we need to turn up, we need to be very resilient, we need to be persistent. Life isn't always served up on a platter, very rarely for many of us. So Saturn gives us that ability to keep going. So if you've got skills that you still don't feel are achieving the recognition that you really deserve, or your social life is a bit muted, or you are not in a relationship at the moment and would like to be in one, just remember that all those scenarios give you an opportunity for a shift. And Saturn retrograde can help to prepare you and help you to understand how to make that shift happen. So in some way or another, it is coming back to our personal responsibility, even though Saturn can be a very frustrating influence. So all in all, a very uplifting week for you, Libra, and I wish you all the best.